That moment around 2 in the afternoon, when you sit down in your chair and a heaviness settles into your shoulders and behind your eyes. Your energy, which was reasonable enough through the morning, has drained away about 90 minutes after you ate. You find yourself wondering whether this is simply what your body does now, at this age, with this blood sugar pattern that your doctor has been watching. If you want to understand why your blood sugar keeps losing its footing, you will not find the answer by counting carbohydrates, and you will not find it in the supplement aisle at the pharmacy. What you are looking for was being practiced in the mountain villages of Sichuan province long before any laboratory had heard of insulin resistance. No Western clinic has ever written it into a treatment guideline. My name is Jian Chen. I am glad you found this today. What unbalanced blood sugar quietly takes from you is not just a number on a lab report. It takes the morning walk with your granddaughter, the one where she holds your hand through the neighborhood and tells you about her week. It takes the ease of standing at your own stove, cooking your own meals, answering to no one, and it moves slowly enough that years pass before a doctor considers it urgent. Most physicians mean well, but their appointments last 12 minutes, and what I am about to share with you is not in any bottle they can prescribe. It has never been written into standard treatment guidelines. It lives in the lineage of mountain healers in Sichuan province, passed from teacher to student across more generations than I can count. And it may address the roots of your insulin resistance more directly than anything you have been given so far. My name is Jian Chen. For more than 50 years, I have practiced the healing arts of traditional Chinese medicine. Beginning at the age of 14 in the mountains of Sichuan province, when my grandfather first placed dried herbs in my hands and told me to smell them before I ever learned their names. Patients travel to our small village from across the world to receive care in the same rooms where my family has tended to the sick for many generations. My grandfather repeated one phrase until I could say it without thinking. All disease begins in the middle. He meant the stomach and the spleen, what the old text called the middle jiao. Across 5 decades of watching patients heal and watching some struggle, I have seen this truth hold without exception. Modern researchers have since mapped what he knew by observation, confirming that the condition of the gut governs inflammation, shapes immunity, regulates hormones, and influences the depth of sleep. My grandfather would have simply nodded. He had been watching that for longer than any of those researchers had been alive. In the mountain villages where I was trained, what your doctors call insulin resistance was known by an older name. The old text called it Shao Qi, a pattern in which the spleen's qi grows depleted. The stomach's heat rises unchecked, and the body loses its ability to transform what it consumes. It describes the pattern I see in patients every week. What I have observed across 3 generations of this lineage is this. The villagers who maintained the old preparations rarely developed this pattern past their middle years. Those who left for the cities and set the old practices aside came back showing the symptoms we now call pre-diabetic. Researchers who came to study our mountain communities confirmed what the old text had already described. They arrived with their equipment and their blood tests, and what they found was that the tradition had been accurate. The preparation mattered. The timing mattered. What was combined in that preparation mattered most of all. Before I walk you through this in full, I want to be direct with you. One element of what I am about to share is something 9 out of 10 people get completely wrong. Even those who have tried this plant before, they miss it because no one told them that the method of preparation changes everything. The sequence determines whether this works or whether it simply becomes another thing you tried once and set aside. Watch to the end, my friend. The preparation I am going to give you is the one my patients actually use. Before we go further, I would like to hear from you. Leave a comment below telling me your age and how long blood sugar has been something you have been watching or managing. Have you tried anything for it that seemed to help, even a little? I read every single comment on this channel, and what you share helps me decide what to address in the weeks ahead. Your experience matters here. In this video, I will show you the hidden pattern that most blood sugar advice never touches. I will explain why the plant that holds the answer to this pattern has been used in mountain medicine in Sichuan for longer than any laboratory has studied glucose. I will walk you through the exact preparation, down to the temperature and the timing, and what to expect in the first week and the first month. I will share 3 practices the old masters combined with this preparation for patients who needed the deepest restoration. And then I will give you the one principle that, in my experience, separates the patients who feel lasting change from those who feel only passing relief. If you have not yet subscribed to this channel, may I ask you a small favor? Take 2 seconds and do that now. Many people who have been watching for months tell me they did not realize they were not subscribed until they looked. I share these teachings so they can reach more older adults who need them. That is the only reason I ask. Now, my friend, let us begin. In the language of traditional Chinese medicine, insulin resistance arises from a pattern of accumulated dampness in the body, particularly in what we call the middle jiao, the spleen, which the old texts describe as the organ responsible for transforming and transporting what the body consumes, has grown burdened. The qi that should be moving has slowed, and the heat that should be regulated has begun to accumulate in ways the body cannot easily clear on its own. You might recognize dampness in your own body as the heaviness in your joints when you rise in the morning, before the first cup of tea has reached your hands, or the fatigue that settles into your middle about 90 minutes after eating, or the weight that gathers at the waist no matter what adjustments you have made. These are not simply signs of aging. They are signs of the spleen's qi under strain. The common approaches address only the measurement. Cutting carbohydrates lowers the numbers temporarily, but leaves the underlying terrain untouched. Single herb supplements taken in capsule form often miss the mark because the body cannot properly absorb them without the right method of preparation. What the mountain healers understood, and what took me years of watching patients to fully appreciate, is that restoring blood sugar balance requires warming the body's center, clearing accumulated dampness, and opening the pathways through which nourishment actually flows. The plant at the center of this preparation is kugua. You likely know it as bitter melon. Researchers who have studied its active compounds, cherantin and polypeptide P, have found that these compounds support the body's cells in responding to insulin more efficiently by activating specific glucose transporter pathways. The old texts had described this in different language for centuries, speaking of bitter melon's ability to clear heat from the stomach and restore the spleen's governance over the body's fluids. The researchers arrived at that understanding by a different path, confirming what the tradition had already practiced for generations. Think of the body's middle jiao as a garden that has gone heavy with clay soil. Seeds planted in clay contain everything needed for growth, but the clay holds them tight, and nothing moves with ease. The bitter melon's active compounds are like those seeds, strong, ready to work, but needing the soil prepared before they can take root and produce something lasting. The preparation method, which I will give you in full detail shortly, is what prepares that soil. After 60, my friend, the body's ability to regulate insulin signaling declines. The old texts describe this as the kidney yin beginning to recede, pulling warmth away from the middle jiao. Modern researchers describe it as reduced cellular insulin receptor sensitivity. Both descriptions point to the same reality inside the body. Both agree that addressing this pattern requires more than simply reducing what the body has to process. My grandfather watched 3 generations of mountain patients use this preparation. He told me he had rarely seen the wasting and thirsting pattern take hold in patients who stayed consistent with it across the years. In my own practice, spanning more than 50 years, I have watched this pattern show meaningful improvement in patients who had been told by their doctors it would only progress. One of those patients was Ruth, a 71-year-old retired bookkeeper from Chattanooga, Tennessee. She came to me after her fasting blood glucose had been above 120 for 3 consecutive checkups, and her doctor had told her she was on the edge of a formal diagnosis. What had been overlooked in her case was the significant accumulation of dampness in her middle jaw over years of overly cold foods and irregular meal timing, a pattern common in women who lose the daily structure that working life once provided. We began the bitter melon preparation together. By week 8, her fasting glucose had come down by 22%, and the afternoon heaviness she had described as simply part of her life had largely cleared. She told me, "Jian Chen, I feel like someone opened a window in my body that had been closed for years. Now let me give you the preparation, as it was taught to me. You will need dried bitter melon slices. Look for slices that are deep green rather than pale yellow, with a clean, sharp bitterness when you open the package. Pale, dusty slices have lost their potency and will not serve you well in this preparation. Take 8 to 10 dried slices and place them in a ceramic or glass vessel. Do not use metal. Ceramic holds heat evenly and allows the plant's compounds to release fully into the water. Add 1 small cinnamon stick, roughly the length of your little finger. The cinnamon serves a specific purpose here. In TCM, cinnamon bark, what we call rogui, warms the yang energy of the kidney and helps the middle jaw in its ability to transform accumulated dampness. It is a necessary element, not an optional addition. Heat your water to approximately 175 degrees. Do not bring it to a full boil. Boiling destroys a meaningful portion of the plant's active compounds. 175 degrees is the point where small bubbles begin forming at the bottom of the pot, but before any rolling boil begins. If you are uncertain about temperature, let the water rest for 2 to 3 minutes after it comes to a boil. Then pour. Cover your ceramic vessel and allow it to steep for exactly 12 minutes. Drink this preparation in the morning before you eat anything, before your first coffee, before your first bite of food. The body's insulin signaling is most receptive in the first 30 to 45 minutes after waking, and this is the window in which the preparation reaches most deeply into the cells that need it. In the first 3 to 4 days, you may notice increased bowel activity. This is the body beginning to clear accumulated dampness, and it is a sign the preparation is working as intended. By day 7, most patients report a noticeable easing of the afternoon energy loss. By week 3, fasting glucose readings often begin to shift. If you are currently taking medication to help manage your blood sugar, please speak with your doctor before adding this preparation or any new practice to your daily routine. That conversation matters, and a thoughtful doctor will want to know what you are doing. I want to share something that the single herb laboratory studies have never captured. The mountain healers always combined bitter melon with warming ingredients, and they did this because they had observed across generations that the combination worked in a different category than either element alone. Researchers who came to study this combination eventually confirmed what the tradition had already practiced. They found that bitter melon combined with warming spices showed significantly greater support for glucose transporter activity than bitter melon studied by itself. The old masters were not surprised by those findings. They had been watching that outcome for a very long time. Before I share the 3 supporting practices, I want to tell you something about the foundation that determines how fully this preparation works. After the age of 60, the diversity of beneficial bacteria in the gut declines, in many cases by 40 to 60% compared to younger adulthood. And here is what most people are never told. Taking a probiotic alone does not restore what the body has lost. The body requires all 3 elements of the system working together. Probiotic fiber to feed beneficial bacteria, probiotics to replenish their numbers, and postbiotics, which are the actual healing compounds those bacteria produce after they have digested their food. Think of it the way a garden works. The soil must be prepared, the seeds must be planted, and the conditions must be right for those seeds to produce fruit. Remove any one element, and the garden struggles. All 3 must be working together. or every preparation I have described will work less fully than it can. Walter, 74 years old, a retired history teacher from Boise, Idaho, had been managing pre-diabetic numbers for 6 years when he first came to me. He had tried berberine supplements, had reduced his carbohydrate intake considerably, and had been told by his physician that his A1C had improved only marginally after 2 years of effort. What had been overlooked was the method of preparation and, just as critically, the timing. He had been taking supplements in the evening, after dinner, when the body's digestive fire naturally declines with the day. We shifted his entire approach to the morning preparation I have described here. After 12 weeks, his fasting glucose had come down by 19%. His A1C moved from 6.8 to 6.1, and his energy through the first half of the day had returned to a level he had not felt in years. He told me, Jian Chen, this is the first time in 6 years that my body feels like it knows what to do with food again. I want to pause here for a moment. The patients and viewers of this channel most often ask me what I personally use to support that 3-part gut foundation. What I have landed on is BoochBod. It contains prebiotic fiber, 2 clinically studied strains, lactospore and postbiotics, LM1004, and postbiotics, the compounds the bacteria produce. It also includes dandelion root, an herb the mountain healers of my grandfather's tradition used for generations to support liver drainage and the health of the middle jaw. It is a gummy, not a pill. Over 30,000 people are already using it. You will find the link in the description below. And please speak to your doctor before starting any supplement. Now, 3 practices that the old masters combined with this preparation for patients who needed deeper restoration. The first is gentle walking after meals. In TCM, gentle movement after eating supports the spleen's qi and prevents dampness from settling. A calm 15-minute walk at a pace where you can hold a quiet conversation within 30 minutes of finishing your meal. Vigorous movement taken immediately after eating draws qi away from the middle jaw and toward the extremities, which is the opposite of what we are working toward here. My grandfather called the gentle walk helping the stomach find its feet. The second practice is warming the middle at night. Take a small towel, warm it in hot water, wring it until damp but not dripping, and place it over your navel for 10 minutes before sleep. This gentle external warmth supports communication between the spleen and the kidney, addresses the yin deficiency that often deepens in the evening hours, and sets the middle jaw in a more receptive state for the morning preparation. Patients who add this practice tell me they wake with less bloating and with more ease than they had before. The third practice is removing cold beverages from meals entirely. In TCM, cold liquids consumed with food cool the stomach's digestive fire. The result is slowed enzyme activity and reduced ability to regulate glucose from what was just eaten. Switch to warm water or warm tea with every meal, and give that single change 30 days before you draw any conclusions. After more than 50 years of watching what actually changes the terrain of the body, here are 4 principles I consider essential. Tip 1. Consistency over intensity. A small daily preparation done for 90 days changes the body's internal environment in ways that 3 weeks of perfect effort never reaches. In this tradition, the principle is straightforward. The body heals through repetition, through the same gentle offering, given again and again until the terrain begins to shift. Tip 2. The quality of the ingredient determines the outcome. Deep green, sharply bitter dried bitter melon slices work in a different category entirely from pale, dusty ones. Spend a few extra minutes sourcing good material. What you use in this preparation is not interchangeable, and the difference shows in the result. Tip 3. Absorb the preparation standing up. For the first 10 minutes after drinking, remain standing or step outside for your gentle walk. Sitting immediately after drinking slows the movement of the stomach's qi and reduces how fully the active compounds reach the cells that need them. Tip 4. Do not add sweeteners to the preparation. The bitterness requires some adjustment, I understand that. But the bitter taste activates specific receptors in the gut lining that are directly involved in glucose signaling. Sweeteners mute that activation. The bitterness is doing necessary work. Let it. Now, 3 mistakes that quietly undo what this preparation can do. Mistake 1. Using fresh bitter melon instead of dried. Fresh melon has water content that dilutes its active compounds significantly when steeped. The drying process concentrates what the body needs. If you have access to fresh bitter melon, dry it first. 3 to 4 days on a clean surface in direct sunlight is sufficient, and then steep the dried slices as described. Mistake 2. Steeping in boiling water. The preparation asks for 175 degrees because the compound charantin begins to degrade above 185 degrees. Boiling water runs between 198 and 212 degrees, well above the range that preserves what you need. Let the water rest for 2 to 3 minutes after it reaches a boil, then pour it over the herbs. Mistake 3. Taking the preparation in the evening or alongside food. This practice is designed for fasting morning absorption. Many patients who try this and feel little effect have been taking it at night before bed because that is when they remember it. Timing is half of the preparation. When you take it is as important as what you take and how you take it. I want to sit with you here for a moment before we close, my friend. What you are protecting when you tend to your blood sugar is not simply a number that a machine produces. It is the morning you spend kneeling beside your flower beds, still able to get down and still able to get back up. It is the ability to drive yourself to your grandson's school performance, walking in under your own power, sitting where you choose, needing nothing from anyone to get there. It is never too late. I have watched patients at 75, at 78, at 81 begin this preparation and feel the pattern in their body begin to shift. The body wants to return to balance. It wants to transform what it receives. It has been waiting for the right conditions to do that work. Your task is to give it those conditions consistently for long enough that the terrain begins to change. You are the one who decides what this body does next. Begin today. Let me lock this in for you. In the first part of this video, we looked at what insulin resistance actually is in the language of traditional Chinese medicine, a pattern of accumulated dampness and depleted spleen qi, and why the common approaches address only the numbers while leaving the underlying terrain untouched. In the second part, I introduced Kogua, bitter melon, its active compounds, the way they support the body's insulin pathways, and the aging-specific decline in insulin receptor sensitivity that makes this preparation particularly important after 60. In the third part, I gave you the complete preparation: deep green dried slices in a ceramic vessel, 1 cinnamon stick, 175-degree water, 12 minutes of steeping, taken in the morning before any food. And I told you what to expect in the first days and the first weeks. In the fourth part, I shared 3 supporting practices: gentle walking after meals, warming the middle at night with a damp towel, and removing cold beverages from all meals. If this teaching reached you today, share it with one person in your life who needs it: a spouse, a sibling, a close friend who has been watching their numbers climb. One conversation could reach someone who has not been able to find this anywhere else. Subscribe to this channel if you have not yet. I share these mountain teachings every week for the patients and viewers who want to take their health into their own hands, and leave me a comment telling me which practice you are starting first. I read every single comment on this channel, and I want to hear what stays with you from this teaching. The link for BoochBod is in the description below, whenever you are ready to look at it. No pressure, no urgency, simply there when you are ready. Until we speak again, my friend, take gentle care of the garden of your body.